recording because we're going to be YouTube superstars soon.
Thanks watching us.
I know we're waiting for our big breakout.
I don't know if I want a
Let's.
big breakout.
That's true. I don't really know either. Okay, so this book, I I I think I'm getting the impression that what this person's going for is like the first book almost set up like a superhero team, and now these books are more like episodes of Ninja Turtles on a Saturday morning rather than like a consistent, like, where each one is sort of self-contained and doesn't really seem to have anything to do with or not as much to do with each other as what you'd be used to in a trilogy. So it's almost like this is not a trilogy, kind of. It's more like just like a series in it, because that's like what it's like feeling like, because it's not really like
Yeah.
building on itself. It's just like, I wouldn't be surprised, maybe there's already a fourth one, I don't even know, or if there's not, I bet you there's one coming, because maybe the guy's just building this universe. Which I think that's actually kind of cool. I think it's like a cool way to make books, so conceptually I like it. For me though, it's still like, imagine you're watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and you think that the first episode was like the greatest thing ever, and then starting on the second episode, they're no longer ninjas, and so they're just turtles. And like, I don't understand. I still don't understand why they like nerfed the action so much, because it's still, I'm still feeling like the first one was just by default wildly more exciting because of all the stuff that was at stake, and it felt like way more like dangerous and crazy because of all of that. But I guess it was just, they solved that problem and now we're moving on. It is what it is. So I don't know. Even though I'm like feeling it even more, it's kind of bugging me less, because now I see like, oh, okay. I think that that's what I don't. Maybe we're not even ever gonna get like an answer to, like, what Raiden's gonna do in the future or whatever. It was just, now it's like just been contained, and now we're like on to other problems, and I don't really know. Let's see. It was also kind of kind of like a sitcom or a show like that, where like one episode doesn't necessarily like lead to consequences in the next episode. I think it's funny that, like, once again, whatever happened to, I think Titus Chob is his name, and the mom hooking up, and it's like that like never actually happened. You know what I mean? Or like they're just not even mentioned anymore. I think that's kind of like funny, and I don't know, like from that reference point, that is kind of like what those shows do, where it just sort of like weird random stuff will happen in like that post credit scene, and it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And let me see. Another standout was I'm like, I didn't catch it at first, but I'm realizing that like I really really love the Zoey sex scenes. I guess it also reminds me of like, I don't know, just like a sitcom from like the 90s or something, where it's just sort of like a lewd comment is made, cut to commercial, and then they like wake up together. Do you know what I mean? Like there's no there's like no explanation about what happened. She just throws out some like, you should shower too, and then they have sex. You know what I mean? Like that's just she's kind of like ridiculous, and I think that's just sort of funny. As far as like the story goes, I think it's like, I actually, I think maybe at this midway point, compared to the midway point of the last book, I'm even like, I think I'm like more confused about what the actual point is here, and who's the actual enemy, and what's the plot, and like what's the main, you know what I mean? Because like as it goes along, we're like meeting newer and newer people, and they all seem to just be like weird and bad, and I don't really know what the hell's going on. But at the same time, each of these interactions, I kind of like enjoy them. Like I kind of liked her like weird interaction with that old lady that like saved her, and then she kind of became sketch. Like I don't understand what it means, but it was kind of enjoyable. And then her going to that compound and meeting the naked guy, I don't know what the hell's going on with that, but it was like kind of funny. So yeah, I don't really know. I'm like accepting the fact that maybe like there are no consequences of anything in this story, and that's just how it's supposed to be. So I'm just sort of like enjoying the punches as they come, and I think I'm enjoying it more because of that. But it's only because I'm looking at it through that lens. If I stop looking at it through that lens, like tons about this story will get me angry. But I don't think you're supposed to get angry about the continuity or the doesn't make sense about certain things, or you know what I'm saying. Like I just don't think that's the point. So still kind of digging it. I think so far in terms of my liking of it, this one's about on par as the second book for me. A
Mhm.
good amount less than the first book, but still pretty good.
Gotta go, Manila, or you want me to go?
You can go.
Okay. I really like this book. And to your point about it being a series, to me this is just like a Nancy Drew series. Like it's just set
Yes,
up
that's
for
a
us
good.
to like go through it.
Yeah.
And these are just like different chapters in Zoe's life. And I really enjoy it. I think I'm of the mindset where yeah, the first book was really great, but because I know it's just like a series, like it's just one of those series where it's like a character series, I don't mind that they're not as good as the first book in terms of like, and I think you're like to your point, it's about like the action and the violence, but I guess I'm judging every book independently, and I still think they're really good. Like I like how it's building out. Like I don't need it to like finish out whatever happened in the first book. I think the story itself is so good in like the second and third book that it's fine the way it is for me at least. Um, I love all of the new characters. Oh, um,
Hmm.
give me like 5 seconds. I love all of the new characters. I think they're so funny. It's just like the whole world is just hilarious to me. All the fucking buildings that we see, all of the um I got sent upstairs because I'm loud.
You've been dismissed.
Yes, because we're like sharing a room. I want the stairs. Hold on, guys. I'm like that just like completely fucking threw me off.
It's cool. Take your time.
Okay. Um. uh, Anyways, so I just like the way this book is written. I think it's so funny, like the Rex thing, like the way people say things. When she asks somebody for a fucking are you okay? What was that noise?
Oh, was it me? I'm like rocking back and forth in my chair. It was probably just a chair squeak. I don't really know.
It sounded like Tina. Anyways, I enjoy like
Oh.
all of like the small punchlines that like are so quick and so fast. Walking up the stairs knocked the fucking breath out of me.
I hate that that happens to me too. I hear that.
Like that thing where she asked Bud for a joke, and I can't remember if it was last book or this book, and I haven't had the chance to talk about it, but I
Oh
want to bring
yeah,
it up
and he
now.
like
Is
immediately
when
came
he's just
back
like,
with one.
"Oh," and she's just like, "Okay, none of that. Like, moving on." And I was like, "That was
Yeah.
fucking funny, bitch." You know what I mean? And then like the whole right, so it's just like I enjoy these books so much because it's all of those like small things that just like make it just really good for me. Um, the pistol wizard and the fucking like rocking horse that like just moved away. Like I'm just like the imagination is just so fucking funny to me, and that's why. So and overall, I'm like really enjoying these books. I think they're so funny. Like Aviv and Zoe, like okay, I'm happy for it. I'm like really excited for it. And that sex scene was like really funny because it wasn't a sex scene at all. And yeah, so overall, I really enjoyed it. I do actually enjoy the mystery of this book and like finding out who the fuck where the girls are and like the sex things. Also, like the thing that is so traumatizing. Imagine like finding somebody and then like all of a sudden like her head exploding and then it's like right in front of you and then you realizing it's a hallucination. Like it's fucking crazy. That was really crazy.
That was pretty cool. I
I
dug that.
I'm enjoying Dee Dee in this book surprisingly. I think she added like a lot to it. I like how she's like this weird vigilante, vigilante, vigilante.
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 Yes.
You guys, I'm not doing good today.
Villagenti. Villa.
Vigilante.
Vigilante. I hear for her like with her like weird fucking like panther eyes and shit. And how she just like pops up and how they were that one conversation about how like, oh, she just added herself to the security system. Anyways, all of this to say, this book is so for me so much less of the whole sum of it and all of the small conversations in it that make it really good for me. That like I really makes me enjoy it. I'm coming. I'm appreciating Zoe a little bit more, but like her and Echo and her and Will and everything. So overall, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but yes, I really like it. So I'm out of breath still. This is embarrassing. I don't want people to watch this.
your tip top shape that you're in. Yeah,
Yeah, seriously.
I'd be pretty much in the same boat if I were you.
Yeah. And him shitting himself. I did think it was like crazy how the woman her and then that's like and then like that's what I'm saying too. That's why I like this book so much. Like the fact that he's just like, oh, she had a drone and she was wearing a red hat and it had a little red hat on it too. Like it's just like all those small things that make it so fucking funny to me and just make it just so satisfying and just like so the word I'm looking for is entertaining. I could not find it. It just this book's very entertaining to me. That's all. And I think we talked sorry guys. And I think we talked about that throughout the entirety of all three books is like yeah the second one still didn't have as much action and like the rare or whatever but like all of these books do a very very good job of entertaining you throughout the entire thing. There's like no dull moments, like everything just like flows really well and you're just like I don't know you're like chuckling every so often and I think that's just like a good book. I'm huffing and puffing secretly. This is embarrassing.
It's
Ugh.
okay, we can't see that.
I actually,
Dude,
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I've had like 10 tacos in the past 3 days anyways. So that could be contributing to it.
could be. Have both of you guys seen all of the John Wick movies?
Yes.
How about
No,
you, Mano? I
I
just
think I watched
realized
the first one.
as you were describing all of this, it's kind of got like a John Wick vibe,
Yeah.
except like a bootleg budget version where it's just quirky and but John Wick does that same thing where it does a really good job of like introducing these weird random usually super
Yeah.
scary characters and then they get killed
Yeah.
off and it doesn't really matter like it did like
Yeah.
they didn't really matter at the end of the day
Mhm.
because it was just a fight scene but you're happy about it because the interaction was like like that's
Yeah.
kind of what it's about.
And then and then we're just gonna get introduced to even more random and fucking crazy characters down the line, and it's fine, and it's just a
Right.
revolving door of just these outlandish people and characters, and it's just fucking great every single time. I don't give a fuck if I met you for 30 seconds. I don't need a backstory. I just want to know who's the next, like who's up, like yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Okay, you guys make some really good points. Because when I went through the first half of it, my first thought was similar to what I thought about the second book, and that it was lacking compared to the first book. The first book was so action packed and so much was happening. Like every other chapter, it was like explosion after explosion and people getting shot and stabbed. And it was like so much going on, right? In the first book, the second book did not have that quality. It was like, oh, okay, fine. It's like, it was fine. People after Zoe. This book, the girls are going missing, so who's doing it? And I kind of get the sense that it's kind of leading up to the fact that maybe Will is playing a much bigger role than what we were told he's doing. I get that sense, but it hasn't been revealed yet. It's just like little hints here and there. So I'm really hoping that Will is actually like the mastermind behind everything or whatever, the puppet master and whatnot. But I don't know. I feel like the
I had that same thought in the last book, and it ended up like
yeah.
coming to nothing. And I think it just is what it is. I think I'm starting to doubt that that's going to happen. Like I'm starting to put away like these like
Mhm.
normal weird conspiracy dreams that I think of with other series, and I'm just taking it way more at face value, and I'm enjoying it
Yeah,
because of that.
that's how
Yeah,
I feel
but
too.
whenever she meets with like these crime bosses or like even random people like Aviv, they kind of hint at it, right? Like they're like, oh, but Will's on top of this and you don't know everything Will is doing. So because of that, I think maybe he's still gonna pull a Will has been the mastermind all this time sort of situation.
Hmm.
So I'm kind of waiting for that because that would be satisfying that, oh, it was Will all along. Like, oh, we did not see this coming. Or we kind of did, but whatever. But yeah, plot wise,
Hold on,
it's
pause really
good.
quickly, Manel. Before
Hmm.
I know I'm sorry guys, so rude.
Go ahead.
YouTube hate YouTube people hate me. I always thought they always talked about that. I always thought they spoke about Will in that way to intimidate Zoe and make her almost want to turn against the suits. I thought it was a tactic as to just like, oh well, you're not really in charge. Like you have the money, but Will's running it. But he doesn't. They don't know that. They're just trying to kind of get in her head. That's why. So I just wanted to before because I
But
would have
in a
loved.
way,
Yeah.
it's kind of true, right? Especially since she was talking about how they make these big decisions.
Yeah.
And when she confronts them about it, they're like, oh, but you were there. You weren't listening. But maybe like they're already having meetings without her or whatever. And she just doesn't know. So she's more like a figurehead. She's not really there to do anything. And
I
these
really
people,
do think she's there and she's not sitting in that fucking beanbag chair.
that
Like that girl very much is like checked out.
That's
Like,
true. Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
but anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So the plot is good, but yeah, actually, what Daryl said made much more sense. Like it feels like very standalone series, like TMNT. Looking at it that way, it makes more sense because I'm still waiting for it to match up to book one, and it's not. Like we're already 50% in, and by at this time, if he hasn't done that already, I don't see him doing it towards the end unless he comes up with more books. Chloe, she's not Chloe, Zoe, sorry. She feels like the Zoe from book one. Apart from her like helping well Dee Dee and stuff like that, she has not really matured that much. She feels like pretty much the same. Don't you guys think so? But I kind of like that about her too because like that's what she is and it keeps the story
Yeah.
entertaining. Yeah.
Zoe's just like Zoe's just like a rich girl with money to me. She's just like very to me, Zoe's a fucking airhead. Like
Actually, yeah.
I don't think Zoe's
Right.
intelligent. I don't think she's strategic. I don't think she's anything else than just an airhead who got a ton of she is one of those people that won the lottery and then ends up losing all their money and the only thing about her is that she has a team that's letting her not lose all her money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Like that's Zoe to me.
if you remove the
She's just a
team,
young girl, yeah.
she would have burned through all her money by now. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I agree, and it kind of has like a I don't know if this is like too old of a reference, but it's kind of got like a Get Smart kind of vibe where like
Yeah.
that's the whole point, that's the shtick where like
Yep.
she is stupid, it's really just her team supporting her and we're just sort of like watching her fumbling through it, and but the fumbling is kind of like why we're watching, that's kind of like why it's interesting. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think it's her uselessness and Will's
Yeah.
ability to keep his eye on the ball that in my
Yes.
mind the team doesn't work without those two pillars, and so that's why I don't think it's going towards this like, oh, team's going to be Will's going to become the villain and that's what it was really all about, because it will break the
No.
ability for like the story to keep going. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
there can't be a book 4
Yeah.
without Will leading everything, you know what I'm saying? And so I don't know, I think I just have a
Uh,
feeling it's not going to happen. I'm trying not to think about it
yeah.
too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's and she and in reality too, everything that we've heard about her and the business, like she's still not making any decisions. All she ever talks about is like, oh, I'm at always at charity events. Oh, they do this, oh, they do that, and I'm just
Yeah.
there and I'm drinking and I'm
Yeah.
drunk and I'm this and I'm that. And the only thing that has really changed is the fact that she's passionate or she feels some sort of way about like causes or whatever. And then Will just makes small decisions and business moves to kind of appease her in that way, like the whole cow thing, which by the way was so funny. I
The
totally
cow
forgot about
thing,
that
yeah.
in the beginning of the book. These are human children. That way, that was like voice in the audiobook was so funny. She's like, "Take me to the room where you take their samples," and the little boy is just like, "In my butt." That was so funny because a child would definitely fuck that up like that.
Okay, so that whole scene was very weird to me because it was a repetition of what we saw in book two, where people were accusing her of being a cannibal and whatnot,
Yeah.
and like
Yep.
it was like a repeat. And I was like, why are you bringing this up again? Couldn't you like come up with something new? Like maybe she is harvesting aliens or whatever, something weird like that. Why bring up the same story? Like, what's the
Hmm.
purpose? Is there a bigger plot to it? I don't think so. They're just making up stuff, and even she knows it, and she was like, "Oh gosh, not this again." Like, so like,
Yeah.
why? It was weird, but still, even though the
I don't
plot
know.
is still pretty thin, it's entertaining. Though I wasn't bored listening to it at
The
all.
little auntie.
Sorry.
Don't worry, Manel.
I think that
Word
this is
vomiting
the
over
I think this is bar none the worst narrator of the three. What do you guys
This is a
think?
different narrator than the second, by the
Then
way.
the second and the third.
Yes.
And the first, yeah.
Yes. Carly
Are
Ray
you?
Romano was the first one. The second was like some Emily chick, and this one's just like a Kelly. I don't know. Yeah, this is a different narrator.
I
It
don't
sounds the
like
same to me.
I
They sound
don't
the same.
like I
They
I
sound like the
I
exact
th-
same to me.
I think Woo is the worst so far. I really miss Woo, how Woo sound like Woo I think sounds like an idiot. And I don't know. I just really don't like this narrator, but it's not a real ding against the book. It makes me sad when narrators are changing, and for it to change 3 times, it's kind of a bummer. But I don't know. I'm sure it's like a business decision. Whatever it is, what it is.
I would not be able to tell you the difference, but yeah.
What I will say is it is interesting to what you just said. All three of them have that have that. It sounds like a Saturday morning cartoon voice actor. Like not like it doesn't like fit. And it's weird that they found three women that all have that like same aesthetic. So you could easily lose who it is. But yeah,
Mhm.
I think I like this one least, but it's not too bad.
Yeah. Are we sure that it's just a trilogy and it's not going to continue?
I feel like I honestly do feel it's going to be like a series of books.
I
I
think
feel
so
like
too.
right now it's a
I
trilogy.
think
I
you're
think just
you talking about a Nancy Drew. That's like perfect. I think this is a
yeah.
Nancy Drew thing. I think that's the
Yeah, I
intention.
think it's an anti exactly, and every book's gonna be, like, just a different type of, like, topic, yeah. Which I wouldn't mind, to be completely honest with you. I think they're good books. I'm happy we're coming to an end just so we can get something new, but I think that's a good way to kinda do it because they've built up such a he's built up such a world and so many characters and, like, Tabula Rasa, like, as a whole, that I feel like it can infinitely go on and, like, focus on something different every single time and be,
Mhm.
like, fine. Like, we're completely, like like, none of us have talked about the whole mayoral election, which is, like, fucking hilarious to think about, like, Tabula Rasa is gonna have a fucking mayor, you know what I mean? And, like, the naked man, like, that whole scene was fucking funny. Like, how she was like, "Can you put some pants on?" And he's just like, "What about my body?" Oh my god, that scene actually was just like, "Oh my god." You know? Like, anyways, so yeah. Sorry.
Actually, that scene, both what he was saying and what she was saying, that was like the most preachy feeling scene to me, where they were just ranting about like I don't know men and women's sexual rights and crap, and it got kind of I don't know a little lame for
Oh,
me, but it was funny.
yeah, it did get preachy a bit, huh? Like, especially when she was talking about the prostitutes and
And
whatnot.
at
Yeah,
one
and
point, they were talking about,
none of
like,
it,
cows' rights, right?
yeah, and none of it felt like it had anything to do with anything really. It was just sort of I don't know the author just wanted to say it, I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
but we saw that in book one and book two, too, so I'm not surprised at this point.
Yeah. One thing like this isn't even a negative. I don't like it, but like it makes sense, and especially if this is a Nancy, if we are right and this is more Nancy Drew, this makes sense, and he should keep doing this. But I don't like it. This one was very heavy on like, you know, when like there's a new book in the series and the author does that thing where they like bring new readers up to speed, or readers that like you if you haven't read in like a really long time, you kind of like you explain things where like if you're reading it all in a row like us, it kind of sounds like repetitive. This one for
Yeah,
some reason when he's doing those explaining parts, I just it feels like extra like heavy and like just data dumping, and like I just don't like it for some reason, because like most books do that, but in like the beginning in like in towards like the first quarter of this book, as it was like talking about like what Raiden was, it was talking about what Will does for the company, like all of these things, like I don't know, like sort of like bugged me. But I mean, yeah, if he does, if his goal is to end up having like 10 books, he'd better keep doing that, so like it makes sense. It was just sort of annoying me. No more thoughts?
no more thoughts.
Yeah, I think that about covers it. I kind of do want to be wrong, and I want you to be right, Manel. If I'm being honest, like deep in my core, I don't really want this to be a Nancy Drew book. It's just since I'm recognizing it for that, I'm like changing my perspective so that I can enjoy it more, because I don't want to just hate it for like no reason. But I kind of want it to be. I want it to just have like more of an actual plot and all make sense. But I don't think that that's where we're heading.
Yeah,
It doesn't feel that way.
I was really excited when the first book ended because I thought we were gonna go from what was the first guy's name? Melzek? No, Murdoch?
Murdoch?
Oh,
Murdoch.
Malik.
Like
Malik.
whatever his name. He was
Was it Malik?
batshit crazy, but I
Dude,
loved him so
okay.
much.
Dude, man, now that you're oh my gosh. This really is a step down. Cuz like that
He
guy
was
as a
batshit
bad
crazy.
guy? Whoa.
He was
He
so
was one
good.
of the worst villains that we've ever seen.
What
And
was
we
his
Mhm.
haven't seen
name?
anything was it Malik? Mal? I don't know.
Yeah, Malik or something
Mm.
like that. We'll call him Mr. M for now. He was so good, and I really thought that he was gonna up it. Like, oh, this was just like level
Right, tier
one. I'm
1.
gonna go to
Right,
level two and
exactly.
level three, and like, pfft. Sandy, the most vicious guy
and
ever.
that totally did not happen at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it doesn't.
That's why I'm disappointed. But
Yeah,
still.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard. I'm just trying not to think about it because now like,
Yeah.
I'm actually like I'm scanning up in my notes on my other screen here, and I'm looking at the notes from the first book. I had like a huge amount of notes on the first book, and on the second two books, like way less notes because there's just not as much to say. Actually,
Yeah.
they're
Because
still
you
pretty
can't just give
entertaining.
us you can't give us M and then suddenly drop it, you know? It
Yeah.
feels so lackluster. But he
And
was really good.
I think I still think it's like even if it is a Nancy Drew or it is a Saturday morning cartoon, I dig that premise. I think it should be sort of like explained to us a little bit more so we're not like, but I do dig that premise. But still, having said that, you should not have dropped Raiden and Malik on us on the first book. Like the first book should have been more like this, and then this would have been maybe like a special edition fifth book once all this other crap happened. Because it still is weird that like, because even with those kind of shows or like the Nancy Drews and whatnot, like if you look at them, some of them are like a lot higher stakes and a lot more exciting, and they're not like the first book, and then it just sort of like dovetails from there. So I don't know, but it's like at the end of the day, if there was a fourth one of these, I would still read it because I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I would too.
You know what I mean?
I read it too.
It's a good series. It just is. But yeah, I think he flew too close to the sun with both the Raiden concept and with Malik. Both of those two things.
I'm still not
just
mad
too
at
strong.
But I think I'm just different than you guys.
I'm chasing that high. I'm not getting that here.
Same. I just looked up again the Vixen, Bonfire, Bloodstick, Stormshaft, and Crankwolf. The first book was good, dude. Holy crap.
It was really good.
It was very good.
All right.
And it's
Well,
weird, was it you who said that the first book was the lowest rated book on Goodreads? And the third book was
yeah, you're right. Although at the same time, I think that's just that whole thing of like, because that happens often with these series. I think it's the people that are picking up the first book or the second book are the ones that liked the first book, and so therefore, of course, they're just naturally going to rate it higher. So I don't know how trustworthy that is. But now that I think about it, that is completely untrue. Like there's no way these books are as good as the first, but they're still pretty good and worth reading and
for sure.
fun. Yeah.
Okie dokie.
Okie dokie artichokes.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're gonna be internet famous again with this video.
Yeah, probably get to 9 views. Holy crap! Okay, I'm gonna
9 whole views. Oh my gosh!